As you go through life, you might feel obligated to feel happy, but there are lots of things that can make you unhappy, and it varies between people. I know things that make me unhappy would probably be a lot different than most of you. For me, it would be getting a bad grade in school, which happens quite often, my mom telling me I'm not allowed to hang out with my friends, cracking the screen on my phone, not getting a part in a play I tried out for. For someone older, it might be Donald Trump, losing your job, your car breaking down, arguing with your kid, or just the everyday stress of life. So I went to breakfast with our preacher, John, and he asked me, "What was the worst day of your life?" And that's a really hard question. So once I thought about it, I decided it was the day we decided to put my dog Pax down. For those who didn't know Pax, let me explain why he was such a special dog. I remember the night we got him. We found him on Kijiji. That's him. We walked into a house, and here he came barreling towards us. He was barking and he was jumping, and any other family probably would have thought he was terrifying. But 15 minutes later, we were walking out of the house with him on a leash. When we got home, it was already pretty late, so we decided to just go to bed. And that was the night Pax decided to escape out of the backyard. Just picture this. Midnight, middle of winter, -30, running around the neighborhood chasing a dog down who we've owned for a grand total of 3 hours. My mom actually called the Kijiji owner and told her that we lost the dog that she gave us. Interestingly enough, she showed up at our house to help us find him. And of course, Pax came running when she called his name, but he ignored my family for 45 minutes. And his name used to be Kanai, but we renamed him Pax. Pax is Latin for peace, and I think we were probably being hopeful when we chose the name. This dog was not peaceful in any way. He just wasn't a people person, and everybody was afraid of taking things away from him that he was chewing on, and he wasn't supposed to have, such as erasers or pencils. And he also loved toothbrushes and toothpaste. He ate many guest toothbrush when they were silly enough to leave it on the bathroom counter. Regardless of all these things, he and I had countless memories together. Whether it was sleeping on the floor with him, going for van rides, in and out of the city, or just taking him for walks, I loved this dog. He was my best friend. If we fast forward to April of last year, Pax started to develop a cough. So we took him to the vet, and what we thought was a little irritation of the throat turned out to be tumors covering his lungs, and the raspy cough was him struggling to breathe. Needless to say, the next few weeks were the worst, most emotionally draining days of my life. I remember my frantic Google searches to try to find some magical cure for it. When there was no hope of saving Pax, I decided to make a bucket list for him. There were 10 items on the list, all things that I thought Pax would want to do before he died. Things like eating an entire blizzard from Dairy Queen, riding in a Corvette, sitting in a chair at the dinner table to eat a steak dinner, having a feast of treats, and so much more. Many of our friends helped in any way they could to give Pax the best few days of his life. Our friends surrounded us with love. It is crazy that so many people knew our dog. He was a bit of a Facebook superstar, and everybody loved Pax, mainly because I loved him, because he was not a cuddly dog, at least not with anyone but me. So for the next 2 to 3 weeks, we checked things off his bucket list. And one day coming back from football practice, I made the decision. I had noticed that he was getting weaker, he was tired, and he was suffering. We needed to let him go. So we set the date, and tried to make the best out of the few days we had left. Finally, the dreaded morning came, and everybody was sad, and to be honest, scared too. I remember carrying him inside because he no longer had the strength to walk. Then we heard the doorbell ring, and an hour later, the Yates LaBerge family went from 5 members to 4, and that was the worst day of my life. But it's important to not forget about the unhappy parts of your life. You need to not just push them down, but acknowledge these emotions. Maybe the reason that something makes us unhappy is because it also brought us so much joy before it was gone. Like Pax, who brought me so much joy before he was gone. So it's another question. I'd like you to turn to someone around you, and if you don't like talking, you can go get another cup of coffee. And I want you to ask each other, what makes you unhappy? You can take 2 minutes. wrap it up. All right. It's important to realize that nobody escapes unhappiness, and it's just a part of life. But it's not healthy to dwell on it for too long. So there are an endless amount of things that can make you happy. I know for me, it's this massive Christmas party we have every year. We have a ton of people over for drinks and food, and we go out caroling in our neighborhood. People from all parts of our lives come. Some from church, some from football, some from school, and a few neighbors. Everybody just has a fun time. And I will say the cleanup after isn't so fun, but that's all right. The important thing is that makes the party such a happy event is the choice to be engaged, making a conscious choice to connect with someone. You need to choose to surround yourself with things that make you happy. And this varies between a lot of people. I know for John, he loves biking. That's literally all he talks about. A place I find happiness is right here in this church. I've been coming here for about 5 years now, and I really love it. I love the people and how everybody's happy to be there, and they accept my family and everybody else just as they are. And another person who found happiness when most people would be miserable in his position is Paul Smokey Wilkinson. For those who didn't know Paul, he was a homeless man who played a massive part in this church. He passed away last year, but he would come in, sometimes drunk, sometimes not, but despite the situation, he seemed happy. I remember taking the morning off school to take him with my mom to drive him to his first day of rehab in Claresholm. When we picked him up, he seemed so happy to be starting a new chapter of his life. And he opened my eyes, so I understood that you didn't need a 9-to-5 job or to have everything figured out to be happy. And last January, at his funeral, people came from all over to pay their respects. Over 250 people came to it. Just imagine that, 250 people to say goodbye to one homeless man. That showed me that no matter who you are or what your position in life is, you can make such an impact in someone else's life. And it doesn't take money. Paul would try to talk to everyone and make a connection. And I sometimes wonder why he seemed so happy. I can't imagine myself being happy as a homeless person. Perhaps it was because he was so grateful of the things he had, instead of focusing on the things he didn't have. He chose to do the things he loved, like helping people. He became engaged with the people and his community, and he spread happiness to everybody around him. He taught me that happiness is a choice. You can choose to have a positive impact on other people's lives, and therefore become happy yourself. And then I got thinking, is God happy? And I thought long about this one, and it's kind of a difficult question to answer. And I think his mood really depends on just how we treat each other. I always read in the news about killings and people trashing each other on social media, and I think we can all agree that's not how God intended us to treat each other. One of the statements that John always makes is nothing can separate you from God's love. Nothing. And I do think there are times when God frowns upon what we do, but he doesn't love us any less. He just maybe doesn't think that's how we should be treating each other. So this week, let's try to be a little kinder to one another, and let's all try to be grateful for what we have, because we live in an amazing country surrounded by amazing people. And maybe, if you focus on the positive, happiness will come our way with a little less effort. Have a happy week.